So, indie games. An indie game is an independent game typically created by individuals or smaller development teams without big financial and technical support. Yes, I did look that up on Google. I don't use words that big on a daily basis. So there are a lot of iconic indie games out there. If I'm being honest, there are a lot of indie games that I actually haven't played before. But that being said, I have played some of them. So that's why today I'll be listing my top 7 favorite indie games of all time. Like I said, there are a lot of bigger indie games that I haven't played. Just keep that in mind as I give you this list. Anyways, with that out of the way, here's my top 7 favorite indie games of all time. Old cartoons from the 70s have an extremely distinct art style. It's extremely cartoony, and that makes it very appealing to the eyes. So what if you made an entire game based around old cartoons? Well, that's exactly what Cuphead is. It has gorgeous visuals, freakishly hard bosses, lines. This one is a super fun run and gun game. As I said, this game is freakishly hard, and just in general, it's an extremely difficult game. There are difficulty settings, but unfortunately, they're very poorly executed. There's an easy mode and a normal mode for each boss. If you pick easy with every single one, you'll never even unlock the final boss of the game, and on top of that, they never even warn you about that. But on the bright side, I know that this has been said over and over again, but the visuals, they're just something special, man. The hand-drawn style never gets old, and it just blows my mind how on earth they crammed so much detail into every inch of the screen. Cuphead and Mugman control really well too. They're nice and buttery smooth throughout the entire game. Overall, Cuphead is a great game that's worth your money. But honestly, I just bought this one for the lines. After Minecraft came out, there were a lot of games that wanted to be like it. Some games failed absolutely miserably, but some games actually did turn out pretty good, like Terraria for example. But another Minecraft-like game that's actually a ton of fun is Forager. If I had to describe what Forager is like, I'd say it's a mix of Minecraft, Terraria, a bit of Animal Crossing, and Breath of the Wilds. Also, the main character kinda looks like James from The Odd Ones Out. In Forager, you start out with this square island, but you can use money to buy more land. You can build weapons, pickaxes, and materials. There is a lot of waiting around to get items, but usually it's worth it. The visuals aren't anything super special, but they are nice and colorful, so it does its job for what it is. It also has a pretty good soundtrack. My personal favorite song in the game is called Crafting Love. It's a good song. And they totally didn't steal it from Mario Maker. Anyways, that's Forager. It's only $20, but I'd say it's worth all your money. I recommend it. For this next pick, you might argue with this, but in number 5th place is Minecraft. Yes, I know, Microsoft bought Minecraft, so technically it's not an indie game anymore, but to me, it will always be an indie game. Also, it's my video and I can do what I want with it anyways. So Minecraft. Personally, I'm sick of this game. I have a ton of respect for it, don't get me wrong, but personally, nowadays I just don't have fun when I play it for some reason. But that does not mean I think it's a bad game at all. On the other hand, Minecraft is a huge game. Literally, there's no end. You can do whatever you want, whether it's in creative mode or survival mode. There's something in this game for everyone. There's no game that can quite capture the magic that's Minecraft. It's engaging, it's super satisfying to build and gather materials, and it's approachable. As I said, Minecraft isn't for me personally. I kind of find it boring to play nowadays, but I hold loads of respect for it, and I can see why many people like it. It's not really overrated at all. Everyone knows what Among Us is. It kinda just came out of nowhere. And insert joke about how it's one of the only good things that came out of 2020. But actually, there's a reason Among Us is so popular. It's super fun. As you probably already know, most of the people are crewmates, but a few are imposters. You have to find out who the imposter is and don't get killed. In my opinion, it's a lot more fun being the imposter than a crewmate, but it's still pretty fun being the crewmate, honestly. The connection is super good for an online game. Except for when this happens, of course. I'm going to keep this segment short because I already did make a video about Among Us. I mostly made it because it's a popular game and it's trendy, and because I like views. Or no, wait, what? Undertale was a huge hit when it came out, so naturally Toby Fox eventually made a game similar to it, and that game is called Deltarune. Deltarune is an RPG by Toby Fox that came out in 2018. Deltarune follows the story of the main character Chris, who falls down into this place. He meets Ralsei and Barney Girl. The battle system is similar to Undertale in some ways, for example because it still has the bullet dodging segments, but it's also different because there's more than one person in the battles this time. I honestly don't really like how it's so much less simplistic than Undertale's battle system, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty fun to use. The game looks so colorful. It's gotta be one of the most visually pleasing pixel art games I've ever seen. The characters have loads of personality, the writing is super funny. Personally, I'm super hyped for Chapter 2 to come out, because I was a big fan of the first one. I seriously recommend this game to anyone who likes pixel art games or just RPGs. Also, it's free, so you literally have nothing to lose. In second place is my favorite 2D platforming game of all time, Celeste. Celeste is a masterpiece, there's no doubt about it. Okay, I'm doing a bad job of writing the script for this segment, but Celeste is an indie game from 2018. The main character is Madeline, who's climbing Celeste Mountain because she just wants to, okay? The game controls super well. Madeline has the ability to dash in mid-air, and this mechanic is used throughout the entire game. The game is a platforming game, but you don't just run and jump. In a way, it's also kind of like a game where you manage your resources. Maybe you could jump there, dash there, maybe refill your dash there and use it again. See, you have to think, it's not just mindless platforming. I'm probably making this sound super boring honestly, but it's a lot more engaging than it sounds. The story is super great as well. It can get pretty serious at times, but it's still engaging nonetheless. The game looks absolutely beautiful. It's not like it has a super distinct art style or anything, but what it does have is a lot of colors that look absolutely gorgeous when blended together. And yeah, this game is super hard, but the thing that separates it from other extremely difficult indie games is this one thing: the way the game treats the player. This game is nice to you, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's easy or it gives you a lot of help. Literally, when you die, you immediately respawn, just seconds later. There's no boring wait times, it's almost like the game is saying to you, hey, so you died, but that's okay, you can just try again. It's nice to you. It flat out says to you at one point that dying is okay. You're going to fail along the way, but it's fine. And to top it all off, there's a load of difficulty settings to help you along the way. In my opinion, unless it's a super easy game, every game ever needs to have difficulty settings. And I know that would take away a lot of the challenge from games, but if you're playing a boss over and over, or something similar, to the point where it's not even fun anymore, then well, what's the point of even playing a video game in the first place if you're not even having fun? Obviously, that's the whole point of playing a game. And if you're not having fun, then you may as well just not even playing it. But my point is, I'm super glad that this game has difficulty settings. And considering my skill level, I probably wouldn't have been able to beat this game without them. Anyways, wow, that's gotta be the most sidetracked I've ever gotten in a video. In the end, Celeste is a masterpiece that I give a big recommendation to. Please play it if you have an extra $20 that you don't know what to do with. But with that, let's finally discuss my favorite indie game of all time. My number one favorite indie game of all time is Undertale. Obviously, this game has a lot of hate. In other people's opinions, it's cringy and overall not that good of a game. But now, let me tell you what it is. In my opinion, Undertale is absolutely phenomenal. This game came out in 2015 and was made by Toby Fox. Toby never could have imagined the immense popularity that surrounded this game. So the story of Undertale follows this human named Frisk that fell into the underground, aka the land of monsters. In Undertale, you take two routes. You could be pacifist or go full-on genocidal maniac. There are two different endings for the different routes. Genocide has a more depressing ending, and Pacifist has a more light-hearted one. But I can promise you this, both endings have amazing finales. And this is part of why I love Undertale so much. It makes me feel things that no other video game can make me. And part of why I love it is this: atmosphere. Whether it's a depressing atmosphere, a happy atmosphere, this game nails it when it comes to this. This game makes me feel nostalgia. And I'm not saying that because I grew up playing it. This game creates a sense of nostalgia all by itself. I think part of the reason you feel nostalgia for it is because it reuses a lot of songs in the game, which may sound lazy, but really it works quite well, and almost always it sounds good with whatever song it's in. Each and every character in the game has loads of personality. They're all super funny and charming, and most of the time they don't get annoying. My personal favorite character is Undyne, but Papyrus is a close second. I love all of them honestly though. The game looks super simplistic visually, yeah, and at some points, for example the battle segments, there's not even any color at all. But it's not always like that. At some points, it's super colorful, and occasionally, there are just things that I want to stare at for hours. They look that cool. On the negative side, it's not a perfect game. I kinda wish some of the characters had more animation so they looked a bit less stiff. Also, the puzzles in the overworld are a bit boring. They're still plenty creative and well designed though. And I haven't even mentioned my favorite part of the game yet, the music. I swear, in the world of video game music, Toby Fox is Jesus. Somehow, this game just pumps out banger after banger after banger. There's only like a small percentage of songs in this game that I genuinely dislike. Every single song perfectly captures the atmosphere of whatever is going on in the instant. It is magical. And that, my friends, is why Undertale is my favorite indie game of all time, and why for a while it was my favorite game of all time. I just wish I got into this game in the height of its popularity because no one plays Undertale in 2020. And that was my personal top 10 list. Yes, I know, I forgot a couple of games like FNAF and Super Meat Boy and Doki Doki Literature Club, but I'm sorry, I just haven't played those ones before. Yes, I'm serious, I've never played FNAF before, I'm sorry. But anyways, what's your top 10 list? Tell me down there in the comments below. Thanks for watching and goodbye.